Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Kimberly. Welcome to my home and shop in the Catskills. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Bevan. I'm an interior designer. Welcome to my home and shop in the Catskills. So living above my shop truly does feel like a storybook. Here on the main street of Andes, it's beautiful. The architecture of all of the buildings tied together so beautifully. And whether I'm opening up the shop on a Saturday morning or stepping out on the porch for a coffee upstairs, you just feel this sense of community. We have a beautiful porch. It really just is so welcoming. People tend to gravitate toward the building because it is right in the heart of Main Street. People will sit, we have a big bench on the porch where people will come and gather. One day, for instance, the whole town lost electricity, and we got our Bunsen burner out and made coffee on the porch, and people were just kind of walking by with their coffee mugs and stopping and chatting, and it was one of my best memories here. It really, that sense of community and neighbors helping neighbors out, and it's rare to find. And it also feels so holistic to live above the store. It's very natural. As I stock the store, I think, okay, what do I want in my home? What would I use in my kitchen? What would I use in my pantry? And what are items I want to have access to? So I approach it that way, and it's this holistic feel all around. As you go upstairs, there's a shop, there's a door through the shop that goes up a long staircase to the main level of the apartment, which is the second floor of the building. As you come up the stairs, the kitchen is straight ahead, and the kitchen is small, cozy. It can fit a lot of people. It's where we often gather. Right off of the kitchen is the dining room, and it's a very unique layout. You'll see. It's almost like a studio apartment when you get up to the second level. So once you enter the dining room, the bedroom is to your right, all open, totally open plan. The living room is to your left, and it is open as well, but we do have heavy pocket doors that are original to the house. And then off to the side of the living room, we have a little annex, which we call the snug. It's a cozy library reading area, a natural extension to the living room. It also doubles as another place to sleep. So we have a twin size mattress day bed in there. And then you go upstairs to the third level, which when I bought the home, I felt was uninhabitable. The plaster walls were peeling. The floors were all different shades of painted colors and just full of furniture. So when I bought the house, I didn't even realize there was a usable third level. But now there are 3 beautifully sized windowed bedrooms that all have queen beds. So there are a total of 4 bedrooms plus the snug, which could double as a 5th. And we have a bathroom that I forgot to mention just off of the kitchen that was somewhat recently renovated by the previous owner. Rain shower, very simple, but a little luxury in the Catskills. So we are in the dining room, which is the heart of the home and probably my favorite room in the house. This is where we all gather when family and friends are here around this beautiful live edge walnut table. I had this built by a company called Fallen Industries. They're based in Brooklyn, and they only work with fallen trees, which I loved. And I was very specific about wanting it to be one solid piece. So there's no seams, and I just love the irregularity of the edges. This is actually a piece that I brought with me from my studio apartment in Brooklyn. It was very large scale, but I wanted to purchase it at the time for a future home, and it's found its final resting spot here. We have this wood stove, which is on all the time. It's every season, every time of the day. It gives off the best heat. When we moved in, it was here. The tile on the floor was white and looked very new, so we actually painted it. When I moved in, I didn't have a big budget to do renovations, so I really had to get clever with how I put my stamp on the elements. One item I did splurge on was the tile. This was a safety item. So we wanted to do tile here, and I chose a Zalige tile, which is handmade. I love the irregular edges, and we took it up just halfway, and it just adds such a pop of color. I love the variation of the different greens that you see. One thing I knew for sure was I wanted the dining room to be green and reminiscent of the nature outside of the windows. In the summer, the views are so lush. We're in the trees here. So I've painted the ceiling and the walls this sort of canopy of green. And it gives it such a beautiful jewel box feel to have the walls and ceiling painted. I chose a very plush, shaggy wool rug, which is not always the first thing that you think of for a dining room, but it's actually quite forgiving for spills and pets and babies. You know, life is meant to be lived in this house. Nothing is too precious. Same with this sheepskin rug. Very forgiving, very cozy. And we have chairs hidden around other corners that we can pull up when we have a big gathering. Another item I splurged on was a window treatment. So I didn't have the budget to do the full window in my fabric of choice, which is this beautiful floral from Mind the Gap, a British company. I love this ochre background, and I love the floral element. It reminded me of Andes in the spring and summer when everything blooms. So I splurged on the valances and went pre-made on the curtains, which is lovely. It actually lightens it up in here to have the white linen drapes. And what you see here is Stafford English pottery, a little collection that we're building, and an antique high chair that my daughter Lena will grow into one day. She's 5 months old, so not quite ready for the high chair yet. We installed this live edge piece here just as a little extra surface for a sideboard. I didn't want anything too heavy, so it just does the trick when you need to put a platter of food out. And one of my favorite corners of the home is this leather chair. This is a chair that we carry as part of the Brier collection. It's a petite scale, but quite generous, surprisingly generous and very comfortable. And this view of the fire is the best. And you need a bar cart in the country, well stocked. And we have this beautiful Fermois lampshade that was hand pleated in England on top of just an inexpensive glass lamp. Again, I love mixing that high and low. It's a budget-friendly way to get some of the items that you love into the space. So I've done that. And elements you see here on the table are pieces I've had with me for a long time. These onyx candlesticks, old vintage pottery, little playful salt and pepper shakers, things I love to collect that just add so much personality to the table. These candlesticks are concrete by a local potter here in the Catskills. So this is a space where it can be my husband and I and Lena lying in front of the fire on her tummy time blanket, just the three of us, and it feels really intimate and cozy. But we've also done big dinners where parents, brother, spouses, friends, I mean, we've had like 14 people at this table. It really, you kind of cozy up, and the irregular edges actually kind of make for some little extra nooks to sit in. So it's really lovely. And an element I really paid attention to for these gatherings was the lighting. Nobody wants bright lighting when you're around the table, so we focus on candlelight and very dim, indirect overhead pendant, and then soft lamps throughout. And of course, the glow from the fireplace. So it's hosted everything. And when I lived here during the pandemic, a lot of the time it was me and my dog Elliot, and that was very cozy too. So a unique layout here. We're going from the dining room straight into the bedroom. As you can see, it's completely open plan. There are no doors, which really works for my lifestyle. When my husband and Lena, my baby, when we're here, we love it because after dinner we have the fire going and then we head to bed with the fire still going. We fall asleep. We have a direct view to that wood burning stove. You can't beat it. And it really has this studio apartment feel. When it's just us, it works beautifully. When we're entertaining, we have pocket doors on the other end of the dining room, which we close, and it sort of sections it off into this gorgeous bedroom suite. So the bedroom has a lot of natural light, big windows. It was kind of a good problem to have in where I was thinking to put the bed. So I chose to put it in front of this smaller window, and I created a window treatment that served as almost a canopy framing the bed. I've sort of always wanted a beautiful draped canopy bed, and so you kind of get that with this window treatment. And I often forget there's a window behind there, but it does let some beautiful natural light through. And then of course the big picture window here. We have neighbors with beautiful homes also from the late 1800s. So looking out the window at all times of the year is such a joy. Right now it's very snowy. We have a little creek down here that has completely frozen over. But in the summer, we open the window and you fall asleep to the sound of the trickling creek, which is, you can't beat that, especially coming out from New York. It's very grounding and rejuvenating. And in the summer, this tree is just all green. So you look out the window and you feel like you're in a tree house. And I had to bring a little bit of the tree house inside. I love plants, and we try to keep them alive and thriving. We make it up here on weekends, but it just adds so much life to a space. The bed, I chose my favorite colors of peaches, pinks, and greens. So I threw the green back into the mix in these velvet curtains. So it speaks to the adjacent dining room. And again, I splurged on the valances, which is a fabric by SKL, and I've always loved. And I just loved the mixing and matching of pattern on the valance and a solid curtain. Kind of unexpected, but it really works in here. And these velvet curtains really help keep the elements out when you want to. We have on either side of the bed mixed matched tables. So on my husband's side of the bed, this is actually called a bachelor's chest, which I love. It's an English design. It has this built-in kind of coaster that you can slide in and out for your bedside glass of water. It has leather with this gold tooling, it's called, and brass handles, and great spot to keep your socks and small pieces. And then I've paired it with a more contemporary lamp from Hay, a company out of Copenhagen. I just love their lighting. This lantern here is also Hay. It's reminiscent of the Noguchi style pendant, which was, again, out of my budget, but I opted for the Hay version, which is lovely and gives this beautiful glow at night. I'm all about indirect lighting. Whenever we have overhead lighting, it's very, very soft and dim. And then I added these sconces, these reading sconces, which just add a little bit of directional light if you want to read in bed. Surrounding the bed, I have a collection of photos and pieces from my travels, just things that make me happy. A watercolor that I've painted really a random assortment. And then on my side of the bed, I have just a little table. You call this a wine table. It's actually made from old wine barrels, so aged wine barrels. And all I needed was a little pedestal there with my antique Dutch brass bell. My family collects those. And that worked for me because I have a beautiful dresser here. This is a burl maple. And I found this at auction, supporting a local firehouse. So I've had this for a long time, and it's great. So I do love mixing old and new. It feels very natural to me to do that. I love to vintage shop. I hang on to pieces. I have pieces that my parents had at their old homes. Before my brother and I were born. So I just love to pull in those family heirlooms, as well as vintage finds, and mix them with more contemporary and new items. I also love to customize too, which you see in the window treatments, and the pillows. This is a fabric by an artist named Stevie Howell. She does these watercolors and then prints on fabric, and I just love the unexpected color palette there. So yes, that's definitely evident in the bedroom and throughout the house. Is this old and new mix, which it sort of blurs together. It's hard to tell what piece is old, what piece is new. It works. The rug is another example of that. So I opted for a green rug to pick up on some of the green elements. I went for viscose, which I will not do again. It has a very silky feel, which I love, but it does not hold up well to spills. And this is a house where I want people to walk around with their glass of wine or cup of coffee and not worry about spills. Pet friendly, children friendly. So to hide those spills, we've layered with antique rugs, and it just adds to that patchwork in the story, and nothing's too precious. It's lived in. These are antique Chinese rugs that I picked up in Brooklyn when I had my studio there. This is an antique shag rug from a store here in the Catskills. So it's ever evolving and very lived in and relaxed. We're in the Catskills. It's a weekend escape. I want it to really feel relaxed. You might notice this curtain wall, which is hiding. No peeking back here. This is my closet. I needed a place to hang clothes, and the room, because of the open plan, didn't have a closet. So we partitioned off this corner, and we sort of have this closet niche, and there's a secret door to the bathroom through there. So it can double as an ensuite. And again, an affordable way to have a quick walk-in closet. My personal style is very reflective of where I grew up and how I grew up. So I was born in England in a rural town 2 hours northeast of London. And that has stayed with me. I moved when I was young, but that English country style is inherent in everything that I do. And when I work with a client, I want it to feel authentic to their story. So I will pull in elements that reflect their interests and their passions and where they like to travel and visit. And that's how I approach my design for myself. So everything you see in my home and my shop brings me joy. They're likely pieces that I've had for a long time, or they're gifts with a sentimental value. And they all work together because they tell a story. I'm not afraid of color or pattern. I embrace color and pattern. They make me so happy, and you'll see a lot of color and pattern throughout my store, throughout my home. And I think it makes for this collected, cozy, welcoming, and sophisticated aesthetic. It's hard to put your finger on your own aesthetic, but it's more of a feeling that I get, and I hope that anybody who visits my home and shop will also get. So follow me to the living room. So the living room, again, is a continuous space from the dining room to the living room. It can function as one big suite, but we also have the luxury of these pocket doors. They're big, a bit clunky, but they're original and they're solid. So, a little squeaky too, but very nice to have when we have friends here and we want to go to bed and they want to stay up. We just close those and it honestly cancels out most of the noise. And now we are in the living room space. So you might have picked up already that my favorite colors are pink and green, which I have collected and put together here in the furniture selections. And again, a mix of old and new. This is a olive velvet sofa, a find from ABC Home, one of my favorite stores in the city. And the rug is also ABC. Usually the rugs are out of my price point, but I went to their outlet in Brooklyn, which is an amazing resource, and found this just woven kiln style rug. And I love it. It's almost a kaleidoscope pattern of all of my favorite colors. I had to have it. It really ties together the room. There's kind of a triangular motif to the rug, which is funny because I later found this ottoman. This is pink mohair, and it used to be in the changing rooms, the fitting rooms at Barney's, when Barney's was still a department store in the city, which I loved going there. So this is my little piece of Barney's, which is no longer, but it's great because you can put your feet on it, you put a tray or drinks or food can go there. It works with our lifestyle here. It can double as extra seating. And over here we have a little chess area. I love to play chess. My husband and I are very competitive over who's the better chess player, and he got me this chess set for my birthday, and I just love it. It's pink onyx mixed with this beautiful peach stone, and it's so fun and also beautiful to look at. So we have this dedicated chess corner. And then the artwork throughout is just a collection of things that I've collected over time. This is a picture of my father's ancestors in the 1920s having a picnic, a boozy picnic, which I just love the outfits. And then this is an artist carried by a gallery right next door. We have a beautiful art gallery here on Main Street, and I just love to pick up prints after they have their artist shows. This is a piece by Zachary Lank, I believe his name is, and it looks very bucolic when you first look at it, and then you notice these beekeepers are wearing gas masks, and it's sort of a little peek into what could happen if we don't take care of the beauty around us and our planet. So a good reminder. And yeah, again, floor lighting, very limited overhead lighting here. Everything is at floor eye level and soft and muted. I'll lead you over here to the window that peeks out over Main Street. We have these small scale velvet chairs, which just fit the space perfectly. We wanted something comfy, but not overscaled. These are pillows by a local weaver that we carry at Briar. I love the colors, and it picks up on some of the motifs of the coffee table ottoman, the rug. I love to mix unexpected colors and colors that could seemingly almost clash, but when you put them together, they tell this amazing story and they almost just sing. So some of the pinks, reading with these sort of dusty burnt oranges. For me, it all works beautifully. This is an original watercolor by an artist called Birdsey, another print from the gallery down the street, and foraged branches in the corner to add a little height and life. One of my favorite pieces is this burl walnut cabinet. This is a piece that is part of my father's furniture collection, Richard Bevan Furniture. I grew up with a father in the furniture industry, so it definitely influenced my style, and he's English. He's the only one in the family that still has his English accent. And this is a bar cabinet, but we use it to store games. board games, bananagrams. We love playing games here in the Catskills. This is a beautiful painted rocking horse gift from a client for my daughter, Lena. As we go into this room, this is what we call the snug. So it's a little annex off of the living room, an extension of the living room, and it's one of the cozier rooms in the house. It actually leads off to the porch that overlooks Main Street. And I love in the summertime to keep the door open and you just hear life on Main Street. We have an amazing farmer's market that sets up right across the street, and a couple of banjo players come to play every Saturday morning, and it's just the best to go out here with coffee, wander back in, sit on the daybed. And really the defining feature of this room are these bookshelves. This was one of the first items I added to the house when I moved in. There is a barn in the backyard, and upstairs we found these planks of old hemlock wood. And I thought, let's incorporate it. It's beautiful wood. So sketched this up and had a couple of local guys come and build this. And I was thrilled with how it turned out. It really transformed a room that at first we really weren't sure how to utilize it. Yet I knew I wanted an area dedicated to a library. So we had an instant library, and then we took some more leftover planks for this daybed here. So that's also reclaimed hemlock at the base, and I worked with a local upholsterer to build this mattress, which is the size of a twin mattress, foam insert, and quite comfortable. When the house is full, this can become a bedroom. But most of the time, it's us curling up, reading, putting a record on. We're slowly building out our record collection. There's a great record store, again, right here on Main Street. In the small town of Andes, you have these amazing shops. Briar is in good company with the incredible shopping here on Main Street. So we don't have to go far. And this is a little table, again, that I sketched up and had a local woodworker build, and had it painted one of my favorite shades of pink, which is called Setting Plaster by Farrow and Ball. You'll see that in a few other areas of my home. So this desk is a drop leaf desk. So it can fold up, take up no room at all. And then you pull out these little supports here and voila, you have a desk. So I did a lot of work here when I was working remote during COVID, and it was just so beautiful. I'd have the door open, you look up into the hills and you hear the birds, and it's an inspiring place to work. These days I'm trying to paint a little bit more. I have my watercolors here. I just love these bumblebees as the drawer pulls, and one of my favorite pieces. This was a gift from my father, and I just cherish it. And we pull up a chair from our games table over here when needed. So I love how each room, you can take a piece of furniture in one room and add it into another room, and it works seamlessly. I really feel like that is very successful when you can pick up one piece and carry it into another room, and it works. And then this light fixture here, this is a basket that we turned into a light fixture. I love the irregular edges. It has a great personality. It almost looks like a big sun hat that you'd wear out on a walk here. So it adds a very soft light. And the artwork in the room is places I love. So we have a picture by Slim Aarons, one of my favorite photographers from the 60s, in a ski community where I grew up going, and where my husband and I both grew up skiing, and where we got married. And then these are aerial shots of the Jersey Shore, where I grew up going every summer. So little elements of every aspect of my life have come together here to tell a story. I'll take you into the kitchen. Follow me. When we moved in, the kitchen needed the most work. when we showed up, the walls were probably 5 different shades of yellow, and it just needed a little love. And I wanted to put my stamp on it. Everything was very cared for by every previous owner, so really lucky there. All of the original cabinetry is still here with the brass hinges, the brass hardware. And I wanted to make big changes without spending a lot of money, and I wanted to make them quickly. So we got the paintbrush out, painted every surface, walls, ceiling, cabinetry. I even painted the backsplash tile. It was a beautiful Mexican tile, but it had a very distinct, bold yellow color that was just feeling distracting for me. So I painted it that setting plaster, which is this very earthy, it's more of a beige than a pink, but it reads pink in certain lights, which I love. And another element that we wanted to tackle right away was adding more storage. So we found, again, more reclaimed hemlock in the barn, which became these floating shelves and extra pantry storage, extra glass and cup storage. This is actually a picture of the house and the building during a parade in the early 1900s. And you can see women out on the porch with their parasols and the horse and buggy coming down Main Street. And the house really looks the same. I mean, other than paint, the bones are all there. So it's really fun to have a little sneak into the past. We also found this hutch at a local vintage store, which also acts as extra storage. Very, very handy. And this fridge. So we replaced this fridge. It was a tall, white, very modern looking fridge. I wanted something retro and smaller. It's kind of European to just not have a huge fridge. And we're so lucky with all of the farms and farm stands around here. We cook what we buy, and this is plenty of storage. And it's not an eyesore as fridges can sometimes be. And this is a table that my father and I built together. Just a quick weekend project. I found this stone at a stone yard and just loved it. So we wanted to repurpose it, and we ordered a French vintage base, and here's our little bistro table where we will sit and have breakfast here, a quick meal. It's really great. I mean, for a small kitchen, it really is a gathering spot when everybody is here. We're all making coffee, baking, chopping up veggies from the farmer's market, sitting around the little bistro table. And it really works. I mean, this is the original stove. It's fine. It does the trick. We didn't have an exhaust fan, so we got one of these air hoods, which is very handy. If you don't have a hood, it really can help with the ventilation. Found another reclaimed marble top to make this workspace really functional. And we were lucky we had the double farmhouse sink. And I just updated the hardware. It had been replaced, and it was chrome, and it felt very shiny and new. I wanted something that felt more in keeping with the other elements that were original. But yes, these latches and the hinges, I just love the authenticity of what was here. So you also have a beautiful view of the creek out the window. So we love our little kitchen. It was kind of a quick fix that we thought, we'll renovate it later, but we kind of fell in love with what we did with these quick fixes, and I think it's going to remain for a long time. So now we're upstairs on the 3rd floor bedroom level. And we are in one of the 3 guest bedrooms up here. We actually call this Max's room. My brother Max spent time during the pandemic here. He moved home from London. And so we really put this room together with him in mind. Now he's engaged, so it's Max and Mally's room. But it's just a wonderful place to stay for a weekend or a longer stretch. We have a queen size bed here with beautiful pillows from Briar that they're nice, generous size. We often Put them on the floor is another place to sit. Great natural light up here. This is a beautiful space to work, and where my brother often would work when he was here. You have the best view of the rooftops and the chimneys. Right now they're snow covered, and then the mountains in the background. It's one of the most inspiring places to sit, in my opinion, in the home. He's an avid reader, so lots of books, and he has always loved the Ames style chair. We happened to come across one in a local gallery here on Main Street again, and we saw it, we had to have it. So kind of an iconic design piece that works seamlessly here. But the bedrooms, I was surprised when we got in here and started painting and working in the space at how generously sized they were. Something I wanted to focus on too was capturing the beautiful natural light. So the wall color I chose, I carried it onto the ceiling. It's a very warm white. So I really, for me, I'm sort of opposed to whites and really cool tones in a setting like this. It just feels right to have a sunny, warm color. So I chose this color from Benjamin Moore. It's called Natural Wicker, and I felt that it added that sort of creamy, sunny tone that I really wanted to create, and it's very uplifting. The walls are all plaster, and as we were renovating, we were peeling back layers and layers. We even found old wallpaper, which was all very cool, but there's an unevenness to the texture of the ceiling and the walls, which we really embraced. I mean, there's a lot of natural movement, a lot of, cracks in the floorboards, and we just embrace that. In an old home, it's part of the nature. So we didn't try to hide any of that. We just leaned into it. And when we moved in, each of the rooms, you'll see there are 3 guest rooms that all kind of open up into each other, which is unique. It makes for a great sleepover slumber party. They were all different colors. So we unified the space through painting all of the wooden floors the same color. And it really made it, for kind of an attic level space, light, airy, buoyant, and gave the illusion of more height. So I will lead you into the adjoining guest bedroom. So pretty unique that these doors open up into each other. Another queen size bed here. The feel in here is a bit like you're camping. We have an old Pendleton blanket that was actually my mother's from the 70s. So the original Pendleton design. And then pillows from Briar. I love a good ruffle pillow, so you see that there. Little terracotta lamps with the rattan shades. And I recently found this watercolor that you see over here at a vintage store. It dates back to a similar era to our house here in Andes, and it's rooftops. And it really looks like our view out the window here. Similar roof lines. I think it's Holland. I see some windmills in the background, but I just love this. And then over here, kind of a gallery wall of all of the national parks, which we hope to visit them all one day. Been to a few. These are benches that serve as luggage racks too. When people come for the weekend, you want a spot to put things. So serves a few purposes. Little mid-century modern woven vintage chair here with the scalloped pillow. Just kind of softens the mid-century design. I like to, wherever floral can go, I will add floral. And then this is the same artist to the piece adjacent. I just love this kind of English country scene, and another beautiful spot to sit and work or write a letter or daydream. Again, a vintage find from a nearby thrift store. And then I'll take you into Lena's room, my daughter. This is her nursery. She's transitioning into her own room. So we're having fun designing this space with Lena. We have another queen size bed here, which most of the time it's kind of our reading nook. So this is where John and I can curl up and read a book with Lena. But if we have a house full of guests, this easily transitions into another place to sleep. Queen mattress, full sheet set, transitions seamlessly. And again, this whole level feels a bit like you're camping, which we love. We have the camping lanterns, beautiful view of the creek from here that is usually flowing on a sunny day. It's frozen over. You could go ice skating today. And the rooftops of the surrounding homes. It's just so charming. And little treasure map on the floor, Lena's toys, and a place to sleep. I mean, this space has had many different iterations over my time here. At one point, I was raising baby chicks. So before the chickens were old enough to go outside, this was their room. And so at one point it was my office, another point a yoga studio. It's kind of evolved as our lives have evolved. And now it's Lena's nursery and a wonderful play space. So I hope it will be inspiring to her and anybody that comes to visit. So Lena has a little collection of toys, these figures that we sell at Briar that we love, these little wooden animals that you can see most of these in the surrounding habitat. This is a Noguchi lantern that I've had for years, and it's just provides such a soft, inviting lighting. Her growing collection of books, and this beautiful little swan from one of Lena's friends. I love the Montessori style of toys, so we have a few of those that you see here. And this is a Mabel Rollins Harris poster that just it reminds me of Lena in a few years playing in the foothills of Andes. Just very sweet and bucolic. This behind us here is a vintage tapestry that a friend of mine found in Brooklyn and gave to Lena as a gift. It's so sweet and so unique. The little baby cowgirls and cowboys. It felt very appropriate here. And the use of color in this room is kind of unexpected again. I love kind of the primary colors for a nursery, but in a sophisticated way, a little muted in the undertones. So we have reds, greens, yellows, a little pop of blue here and there, and it feels timeless. I think this is a space that Lena can enjoy for years and not grow out of too quickly. So it's a very unique setup where all of the rooms open into each other and it can work as this huge bedroom suite. But each room also has a designated door off of the hallway. So if you're not having one big slumber party, you can close all of the individual doors and enter off of the hall, which is great to have the option. Probably the most intriguing part of the building is its history in Andes. So the building it's played many roles for the town. It used to be a general store and later an apothecary. And all of the original apothecary shelves remain today. There are little drawers with brass nameplates, and you just don't find cabinetry and details like that today. But through my eyes, there was a lot that I wanted to do cosmetically. So I really had to look at it with a critical eye and use my envisioning to see what it could be and how I could bring my touch to the space. I have so much fun sourcing the items for my shop, which is named Briar. And it's a way for me to bring items from my travels, from projects that I've worked on, and items that I've sourced for my clients into the store and show it to a new audience. I'm very conscious of fair trade. I try to source local whenever possible. Everything is small batch production. Nothing is mass produced. I know the maker of each piece. In many cases, they are women artisans, and we try to be sustainable with all of our sourcing and business practices. So those are really the common threads that tie everything together in the store. But other than that, they're beautiful pieces that I love and feel would be beautiful in anyone's home as well as my own. So I'm excited to show you around. So we're downstairs at my shop, Brier. As you can see, the original detailing in these beautiful shelves, this was all here, which was incredible. The building's roots as an apothecary are really evident in the drawers that you see here. What I did when I got in here was stain all of the wood. It was sort of this orange wood that didn't really speak to me. I wanted to darken it to give it that walnut tone. But all of the brass hardware is intact. I even saved the handwritten glass labels that detailed all of the medicine that they sold back in the 1890s. So I feel very fortunate to have these to display our beautiful finds. We love sourcing through our travels. We like making local connections with artisans, and I would love to point out some of my favorite pieces. These are hand marbled, leather-bound notebooks. My husband and I were on our honeymoon in Tuscany and came across these in a small town. Had to have them for Briar. This line, Hudson made, all made here locally in Andes and the surrounding area. The maker forages for the ingredients, which is amazing, and they all smell beautiful. Some of the furniture here is a collaboration with my father. He owns a furniture store, and I think I was inspired by him to get into the trade. And this is one of our original designs. It's a vanity, and I designed it exactly what I would want. I've always dreamed of having this gorgeous vanity in my bedroom. It feels very old Hollywood with the timbre doors and this rich walnut stain. We try to work with small batch production across the board. These are botanical dyed silks, beautiful line of pillows, bandanas, eye masks. And I love to incorporate a little bit of wellness in everything that we do at Briar. So it's items for the home, but also for self-care, which you'll see in some of the collections here. I have a lot of fun sourcing pillows for Briar. I'm constantly swapping them out seasonally, mixing and matching patterns and unexpected colors. These are beautiful cushions that are made in England by a company called Vermois. These are block printed in India using all vegetable dyes. We work with a local weaver to make these beautiful blankets, and we're getting more and more into the fiber shed movement, which is very sustainable and starting to pick up in the Catskills. So that's very evident in a lot of our textiles. We even have a collection of clothing that feels very, very appropriate for the Catskills lifestyle. Lots of linen, color. I just love these patchwork blouses. That's what I would wear on a summer day. And of course, the block printed sundresses that speak back to the pillows. So everything tells a story, and as unique as each item is, we try to maintain a similar ethos. So small batch, local. If it's imported via fair trade, and everything. There's nothing that's mass produced, and we incorporate wellness, sustainability in everything you see here. So I want to point out these portraits behind me. These were the original owners of the building. They actually built the building, and they ran the general store. So this is a Mr. Norton. We don't know much about them, but we feel their presence in the store, and we keep them here because they watch over everything for us, and they will remain with the building forever. This is a beautiful countertop that I'm so thrilled was here when we found the building. It was sort of covered with beautiful items from the previous shop owner, so I was surprised to uncover it. This strip detailing of the contrast wood is very reminiscent of what you see from buildings of that era in the late 1800s. So that needed sanding and staining. Pretty much everything in here has either been stained or painted to give it a fresh life. You know, it's really great quality cabinetry, but it needed a little freshening up. And I even painted the fireplace that you see behind you, which we love on a cold day like today. It could be -10 degrees like it is today, and it feels warm and cozy in here with this fireplace. But this was sort of a brilliant shade of blue, and it felt a bit jarring for the space. So we opted for a matte black, which helped it to sit back yet be a real pinnacle focal point of the room. It gives it a little bit more of a Swedish feel that I personally love. So these are beautiful hand-loomed textiles. Each one is hand-done by a woman here in the Catskills, and I just love them. I use these for everything. I have a 5-month-old, and I'll throw one of these over my shoulder as a burp cloth. It's the chicest burp cloth you can find. She also does beautiful pillowcases, which we have here. We have hand-painted ceramics on the shelves, hand-pleated lampshades, gesso finished pottery, and the sustainably loomed blankets, as I had mentioned. We also have further afar items. So we have Bellevue glasses from Morocco, which are amazing for water or tea. They're great for insulating the heat. One item I wanted to talk about is this chair, for instance. So this was a French country chair when I found it. I love to find vintage pieces and give them a fresh life. So this was a very French country neutral chair with kind of a driftwood finish, and I wanted to make it feel more appropriate for the Catskills. So stained the wood, reupholstered, and gave it a beautiful brass nail head detail. So that's just an example of how I like to curate the shop and find pieces and give them a new life. It's quite sustainable to design that way as well. So you'll see that throughout. This beautiful round cherry table is handmade in England through my father's workshop. So very happy to highlight a few of his pieces in here as well. It's really a family collaboration. In many ways, the apothecary, when it was an apothecary back in the 1890s, there was a resident doctor, and the doctor had an office here in the back. So my mother, who's a chiropractor, has set up her chiropractic treatment room back there. So it is once again a doctor's office. So we're sort of bringing the building back to its roots in a way. And it's been really fun to collaborate with my parents and family on this project that's so meaningful to me. We also have toys. As a new mother, I am always looking for safe, small batch, cute toys, toys that not only are fun to play with, but also look nice on a shelf. So we've started to get into toys these are little critters made, hand-carved in Germany. We have our alpaca animals, which we love. We used to have chickens in the back. They were a lot of work, but now we have alpaca chickens, and they're adorable. We've highlighted some of what we do in Bevan Interiors, my design firm here. So the window treatments at the front of the store are an example of our workroom and what we can provide in a client's home too. And of course, I have to point out Elliot, my Beagle Bulldog mix. He's very handsome there. This is taken by a very talented friend of mine, Van Sarkey. He does pet portraits, and the shop would not be complete without his presence. He's usually here, Elliot. He's usually in the shop window barking at everybody. But today we have our sheep in the window. These are sheared sheep, hand carved. They have beautiful glass eyes here, and they also like to graze here and look out over Main Street. They can double as a stool. We move them around. You'll notice them in little corners of the house and the store peeking out. They're very playful. Home for me is being surrounded by people that you love, items that bring you joy, and feeling a sense of calm and cozy. I think home should be a reprieve and a true sanctuary for yourself and loved ones. And you should have fun with a home. I have fun designing my home. I don't take it too seriously. I think it's such a gift to be able to design a home. So I have fun with it. And there's a sense of relaxed style to my home, which I think should really be there. Home is somewhere you can put your feet up, leave your worries at the door, and nothing should be too precious. It's certainly a philosophy that I've adapted, and things should be lived in. I carry that philosophy through every room in the house, and I like to embrace the imperfections. If something gets stained, it's patina, it's a happy memory. It's the time you spend in your home that truly gives it life, as opposed to anything that you put into your home.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.